it's not often that I'm kind of gobsmacked by a game that I've played, and Call of Duty often has that sort of discourse where everyone just kind of talks nonsense about it. I'd say nonsense because I don't want to put it in such a profane manner. Who knows? Maybe I will start being a bit more profane as this video goes on. But yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 7. I've not played a game in a while where I've been so dumbfounded in what I've been looking at on screen. Um, I usually like to defend Call of Duty campaigns, but I just feel that this time it's just kind of hard to do, given how far off the wall this campaign has gone. It's lost all sense of tone in general. Like considering we came from games like I picked up a DVD box set then games like World at War, COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and even some of the stuff on the Xbox One wasn't too bad. They were always within tone of their franchise, of their setting, um, within their setting, the time periods, within the tone of the story. I just feel Black Ops 7 has just gone. I don't know where it's gone. It's gone to space, come back, and gone to space again to a different bloody galaxy at this point. And I was sent a code for this game, by the way, through Instagram, for my Instagram and through my TikTok to do like coverage and all that. And pretty much what I'm going to be saying within those videos that I did on TikTok and Instagram is just going to be the same here, but a bit more elaborated. And yeah, what else could I say in this video about this game and how, to put it plainly, how abysmal this campaign was? Uh, I don't know, to be honest. I just think how far we've gone from the initial sort of subject material of Call of Duty, where it's like a serious war game, to whatever this was and whatever they were stiffing in the boardroom meeting when they were putting this game together. When it Because Call of Duty always used to take its subject matter quite seriously when it came to war. I mean, by all means, it took liberties with realism. It was never what you would call a realistic franchise when it came to the gameplay and the structure of it, because it was always sort of a arcade shooter, because it was built on the sort of framework of id Tech 3, which, if you don't know what id Tech 3, it's an old engine by id Software, which was made to use Quake 3 Arena, which arena shooter, arcade shooter, and they were always like arcade shooters with a military skin on top, but they stayed consistent within its military theming. Um, they were grounded, even though they weren't particularly realistic, as I said before. But they were always grounded, and it didn't feel too jarring from its setting that they're in. Each of them, like from like World War II, from what was modern combat, to the Cold War setting of the original Black Ops, even to like the near future stuff with Black Ops 2, which still felt quite believable and grounded. But yeah, let's just get into Black Ops 7. So I'm going to be a bit more consistent in this video. I'm going to stay stood up. I say stood up. I'm leaning on my TV unit here, which is holding the television behind me here, just to have a bit more of an interesting background. And you just don't see like static background on my shelves. And I feel like the lighting from this angle is a lot better because I've got decent weather today. So I haven't had to set the ring light up, all that sort of thing. Anyway, what's Black Ops 7's campaign about? Well, it takes place 10 years after the 2025 portion of Black Ops 2, where you once again play as David Mason, Alex Mason's son, and they are on the hunt for Raul Menendez again. Or so they think, because they receive a video which they think he's still alive, and they go with the ending from BO2 where David Mason kills Raul Menendez and he sets off the whole Cordis Dia revolution within the United States and across the world. But turns out the video message from Raul Menendez is nothing more than a deep fake from the company called The Guild, which were in BO6, but they're now this sort of massive tech conglomerate in this one, and they basically supply the military with robotics and that sort of thing, and they have a more nefarious sort of agenda behind them. But honestly, it's not that interesting. And basically, they find out the message isn't real, and they are gassed with a chemical weapon, which then sends them into a hallucinogenic state where they're in these bizarro sort of worlds which you've seen throughout the marketing. And I like the idea of it. It's interesting, but it just goes way, way, way beyond what a Call of Duty game should be. because Black Ops has done the sort of psychological, the brainwashing stuff before, but they've done it in a more believable way, like with Black Ops 1 and 2 and Cold War for a certain extent. It's set in a what if scenario in the 20th century during the Cold War, where the United States was successful with the MK Ultra program, where they are brainwashing Russian agents as sleeper cells and that sort of thing. And it's quite interesting to go through. They have the surreal bits in those games, but they're within context of the history of that period. Whereas I feel with the sort of surreal stuff in this game, I just feel like they're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what would work and what doesn't work. And spoiler alert, none of it works. Where you feel like you're playing a Resident Evil game over a Call of Duty game, especially do people really care about spoilers about this game? But spoiler alert, by the way, there is a boss fight where you fight a mutated Frank Woods, and when that part happened, I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that. I thought, did I accidentally boot up the zombies campaign? And I didn't. There, you fight a mutated Frank Woods as this sort of giant sort of plant that you'd expect to see in Resident Evil, and I just thought all pretenses of taking this franchise seriously has been thrown out the window. And I'm sure it has been for others for quite a few years now, but at least with the other campaigns before this, they were believable. Grounded they had a grounded nature to them, where this one's just like, screw it, let's throw everything out the window. Let's have like massive machetes fly from the sky for some bloody reason at the start of the game, where you're fighting Raul Menendez, a sort of ghost. And I I've never had my mouth open with sort of shock in the wrong possible way, where I'm just going like, hang on, am I playing the same game from the same franchise? And the story, it's not nonsensical, it's just quite boring, and it's just like it jumps from one area to the other. That's my other gripe with the narrative, is the transitions from like the sort of cutscenes to the gameplay. Whereas in other Call of Duty games, like in Call of Duty 4, for instance, it would zoom in from a UAV sort of map into the player's perspective. But when a cutscene ends in Call of Duty Black Ops 7, you're just plonked in the middle of nowhere. There's no transition of you going there, driving the car, or being dropped in through a helicopter, that sort of thing. You're just plonked there, no reason, and yeah, the mission starts. And I've got no problem with like transitions that are that quick, or sort of like out of the blue, but they kind of have to be justified a bit. Whereas here, they're just like, yep, this is where you start. No context or sort of justification of why you're starting there, but you're just there for no reason, and the story just kind of goes in and out. There are moments where you're actually just fighting the Avalon soldiers, which are the private security detail for the guild, and and you're not hallucinating. But you'll get to some points of the missions where you're not hallucinating, and they'll unleash the gas, and then suddenly you're like in Angola finding Frank Woods in the 1980s, and it jumps all over the place. And I get the whole thing is like questioning what's real, what's not real. It's a cool idea, but again, it's just poorly executed in this story. So the only thing that could probably save this is the gameplay, and does it? And not really. So the gameplay of a Call of Duty game. What is there to discuss really? It's an FPS game. If you've played a Call of Duty game in the past 20 years, you've probably played this one outside of the setting. I mean, that's one thing you can't fault for Call of Duty games, is that they've always been pretty consistent with their gameplay and their gunplay. It's always been so tight, easy to pick up, but quite hard to master. And they're always quite fast and fluid. I'd argue this game's a bit too fast in places, but it, it is what it is, and I just feel that this game still handles really well, but it has some problems. And I'm stemming this from the campaign. I'm not talking about multiplayer, as I've already discussed. This is a campaign video. Um, it has the same consistent problems after the other recent Call of Duty releases, and that's how the enemies react to your fire. And they're too spongy. They're too spongy in this game. I feel like I'm playing a Destiny game where they got armor. Most enemies in this game have armor all the time, and that gives a sort of illusion to difficulty, and that's not difficult. That's just irritating, and they had this problem in the last Black Ops game. They had this in the last Modern Warfare game, and the Modern Warfare game before that, where in the latter stage of the game they just throw people in armor at you, and you're just wasting bullets after bullets after bullets at them, even when you're shooting them in the head. And they throw them right at you at the beginning of the game in this one, and it's just a big irritant of this campaign that I feel like I'm enduring this game and not enjoying it. That I could be using high caliber weapons and it takes several shots to take them down with a headshot. And you could argue like, oh, some of them are robots. And I go, yeah, that's true, but it's also the human enemies, and a lot of them will be carrying shields, which you do have to shoot to make them explode and break. And they take far too many bullets. Which I remember one mission I just spammed the war machine kill streak they give you, which they do give you kill streaks in this game, and I just find it just very laborious, this game to play, because of this how spongy the enemies are. And I would say that the presentation looks nice, and it does look okay in places. I played on PS5. You can certainly tell that they're still hampered by the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. It looks too clean. Doesn't really look like a battlefield, and there's been war going on in these games. It looks too clean. It almost looks like a mobile game, and I would say it looks like an Xbox 360 game, but that would be an insult to these games when they did dirty battlefields really well from this period. Um, but the visuals look too clean, and you can't take it seriously compared to, I don't know, even Black Ops 6. It didn't look too clean in its campaign. You could tell that gunfire ripped through an area. In this one, they look like paintball arenas. They do. They look like paintball arenas. I watched a video before I started making this one, and I think that's an apt way of describing some of the futuristic and newer COD games. They look like paintball arenas, carefully curated, as opposed to them being these sort of natural areas that have been ruined by war and gunfights. They just look like they've been put together with multiplayer structure in mind. And I know people probably play the multiplayer more than anything than the campaign these days, but most people back in the day, they used to play these games for the single player campaign. And I just feel this one just doesn't get that memo. For one, it says co-op campaign because it's built with co-op in mind. So that's the other thing I forgot to mention. You can't pause the game. You have to do all the missions in one sitting. So you do get checkpoints. There's a sort of misconception about that. If you die in the mission when you're playing it, they will have checkpoints and places you go back to. It's only if you quit during a session, you have to do the mission again from the start. If you quit from the mission midway through, but there are checkpoints as you play. If you die, you don't start the mission all over again, which seems to be this sort of misconception online. But that doesn't change the fact that if you have to go and eat dinner, or you've got another obligation being an adult and that sort of thing, and you have to go and quit the game and do something else, you come back to it when you've turned it off and everything, and oh, I have to start this mission all over again. And some of these missions, they're not short. It's a short campaign, but they're not short. Some of these missions, that's the problem. Um, yeah, it's just a bit of a bit of an oversight, considering like if you want to play on your own, you still have to be connected online, and you can't pause the game. It's almost like Activision's like, oh, sorry, no, you're not allowed bathroom breaks in this gaming session. It's just like, oh God, really? But yeah, I just feel this campaign's just a bit of a disappointment, and it's not really worth playing in my opinion. It doesn't really add anything to the Black Ops mythos. Sorry, I combined mythos and Black Ops together. Then it just feels like we need to put out another game. Is what this feels like. We need to meet the investors' sort of daily quota or yearly quota. Sorry, as opposed to putting effort into their art. Which, say what you're about Call of Duty now, but back in the day with these games, this isn't nostalgia talking. Even though I was a teenager when these games came out, um, they put their heart and soul into these older games, and they released them yearly too. Bear in mind, from about 2005 to now, they've been releasing Call of Duty games yearly, and you can really start to feel that sort of creative bankruptcy at the moment with this one. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts. And shorter video than usual, but compared to my normal ones, which are usually about half an hour or so. But yeah, and I'm talking about a recent game too. This game I can't really recommend. Uh, but yeah, thank you very much for watching. Do the usual liking, subscribing if you want to. Let me know if you've played this campaign yet. Let me know your thoughts down below. I just can't really recommend it, to be honest. And I did get sent a code for this game, by the way, because I do stuff on Instagram and all that sort of thing. And I thought I'd bring my thoughts here onto YouTube, and I thought, yeah, why not? But yeah, thanks for the support. At 144 subscribers now, which is, I know, again, small milestone, but I'm getting there. Uh, Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.